Night. Go play it. I really like their monotone area designs, and laziness on my part makes the idea of just black and white line art for everything very appealing. I know their stuff wasn't just black and white, but I noticed that before entering some zones, the color shifted to match it before you got through the door. They probably did it with some post-color shifting sprite fancy stuff that I don't even know how to look into yet. But you know what? I can do something like that with lighting. In the editor, it's obvious that everything is black and white, but on my level manager, I defined two colors. One for the color I want for the area, and the other that changes the entire scene when damage is taken. I've actually got 6 lights in there. In the editor, you can see they have a script on them with 3 public variables accessible. For follow delay, each light follows slightly behind the player, causing the area ahead to be slightly darker and the foreground to pop a little more. When the player stops, they'll catch up and fully illuminate the area. Brightness goes from 0 to 200. I treat this as a 100 being the level color declared in the level manager. Less than 100 decreases the light color value down by that percentage. Anything from 100 to 200 is brightening the light up to white at 200. The last variable is damage time. It's just to set how long it takes for everything to go from red back to the area color. Like I said with Hollow Knight, they transition the color as you get near an entrance to another zone, but, well, I don't have any other zones, so I played around with damage taken color changing. Now for the script. For starters, since I'm working with 2D lights, I need to add this line, Unity engine.experimental.rendering.universal. I'm assuming that won't be needed in the future. We need a variable for the level manager script to pull the colors from. One for the player that the lights are following, ranges for the follow delay and brightness, and I added one variable for the actual light just to keep the code a little neater below. For the color shifting math, I break the light color down into hue, shade, and value. We need variables for those. We also need variables for all the colors we pull from the level manager and the damage change time. And finally, a variable used in the follow movement. First off, grab everything. Grab the light, find the transform of the follow target, tag to player. With the follow delay, I like the 0 to 10 scale. That actually needs to be inverted to work logically. And 10 is a little high, so I multiply it by a decimal to bring it down a bit. Find the level manager and grab the damage color out of it. At this point, I break out the hue, saturation, and value from the level light color we defined in the level manager script. If the brightness we defined is below 0, we're darkening the color. We multiply the brightness by 0.01 to make it into a percentage, and multiply our color value by that percentage. We just need to see how close to 0 to make that color value. That one's easy. If we set the brightness between 100 and 200, it gets a little more complicated. First, we multiply the brightness by 0.01 to turn into a percentage again, but we also have to subtract 1 since we started in the 1 to 200 range. For the color value, we're working our way up to 1 for full white. Start by subtracting the current color value from 1 and find the range we're working with. Then multiply that difference by the brightness, and add the result to the original color value. When lightening, we also need to reduce the saturation. This can be done by multiplying the saturation by the brightness and subtracting that from the original saturation. Side note, this is why I don't show coding in real time. This took me much longer than it should have to work out, and by the end I didn't want to retype it just for the sake of adding video time. Finally, save that color to the final light variable and set the light to that color. In Update, all we're doing at this point is moving the light around behind the player. The light position variable is assigned to the position of the player, with a slight bump to the Y to place it over your head for shadow purposes. Then use a vector 3 to lerp to smoothly follow behind the player with the lights. And now for the real-time color change. Since mine's triggered by taking damage, in my level manager script I have a block of code that will find all the light follow scripts in the scene and call their damage light starter coroutine. This just sets the light to the damage color and calls a second routine that actually does the work of color.lerping them back to their light funnel that we said earlier. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but the reason there are 6 lights in this scene is each one is set to separate sorting layers to give the layered effect in the lighting and colors. But now you know. What? You're still here?